now be beginning with the first panel discussion of the day. This is going to be about India Brand Leadership Conclave with an exclusive conversation among distinguished brand leaders on the big picture, how vision, legacy and ROI build iconic brands. This is going to be the subject of discussion. I'm going to be joined on stage by some very, very special and eminent people over here for this powerful conversation. My first speaker over here who's moderating the session has over 28 years of experience in risk consulting practice and a significant experience in supply chain function in FMCG, consumer durables, pharma, EPC, ENR and textile sectors. He has serviced 300 plus clients across 15 countries including India, US, Europe, the Middle East and South Asia. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Mr. Neeraj Bansal, partner and head India Global KPMG in India. Can we please have Bansal sir on stage? Alongside our speakers, I'm going to be announcing them in alphabetical order. My next speaker has embarked on a remarkable journey in the real estate industry, driven by a rich legacy of family ties to the construction world, and has inherited his father's deep-seated passion for design. With over 14 years of experience in the real estate sector, he has realized that it's not just about profit maximization, it's the pursuit of satisfaction in creating exceptional spaces. Please give it up for Mr. Chintan Sheth, Chairman and Managing Director, Sheth Realty. My next speaker over here, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Advocate Harshul Savla, doctorate in literature, developer, best-selling author, world record holder, TEDx speaker. He's the managing partner of Realty, Suvidha Life Spaces, and joint secretary of CREDI MCHI. A big round of applause for sir as well, please, ladies and gentlemen. My next speaker over here, since entering the real estate division in 2013, he has set new standards in architecture and construction. Under his leadership, MICL has achieved remarkable milestones, delivering iconic projects that have redefined luxury and sustainability in Mumbai. I'm talking about the Honorable Managing Director of MICL Group, Manan Shah. Give it up for Mananji, please, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. My next speaker over here is the Honorable Chairman Managing Director of Paradigm Realty, is the Chairman Managing Director and Chief Mentoring Officer of Paradigm Realty. He has recently been recognized as part of the Hurun 40 under 40 2025 list. And he stands out as the only first-generation self-made real estate developer from Mumbai to be featured this year. This is an exceptional achievement indeed. With over 16 years of experience, he exemplifies innovation and excellence as a first-generation entrepreneur who founded Paradigm Realty with a vision to address multi-generational family living under one roof. Please give it up, ladies and gentlemen, for Mr. Parthh K. Mehta. Can we please have Mr. Parthh over here on stage? Thank you. And my next honorable speaker is the Honorable Managing Director of S. Raheja. Realty represents the third generation of the Raheja family's legacy. He joined S. Raheja in 2013 after studying architecture at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. And he's been absolutely phenomenal ever since then. Please give it up for Mr. Ram Raheja. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Pleasure to have you once again. Thank you to all the speakers for making it over here. This is the first grand event of Realty Plus in 2026. We are truly, truly grateful for your presence. And the timer is over there, and you all can move forward. We look forward to hearing you. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much there for this. Good morning, everyone, and a pleasure to be with you today. We've got a great panel here. In terms of the topic that we have, I think we had quite a good outline by Anurag on that. So, I mean, I will not spend too much of time on it, but just to kind of put a little frame around it. Because when we talk about the iconic brands, we normally think of scale, visibility, and reputation. But in real estate, as we have always seen, that the iconic brand is built quite differently. It is being built slowly. It's being built project by project. It takes time through delivery, consistency, and also trust that you engender with your customers and with the different stakeholders as well. So, compared to other scenarios, which are like in terms of consumer durables, other part of it, where you could do a lot of advertising and you could do some quick sales as well. The brand gets built up with certain promotions. In real estate, typically the brand building is taking a long more effort there. And also in terms of when we talk about the India real estate story, I think we certainly at an interesting point. We just heard Mr. Batra also speak a little about it, but we've seen that there is a very strong momentum that we've had. I would say more than stronger momentum in the premium and the luxury housing. If you want to give a little bit of a stat on it, then Today, the ongoing projects, which are there in India right now on the branded residence side, we are almost sixth globally in terms of, the quantum that is getting launched in India. And also in terms of the world supply, it's about 4% of the total world supply in the branded residence segment there in that. So it's quite a substantial number, given the fact that, the few years back, this was not even spoken about or heard about there in that sense. But in the last few years, it's just taken on in a very, very good way. And this is happening across cities there in that. And, so in terms of the overall real estate activity also, we've seen a very strong inflow of real estate in terms of the volume side of it there, as well as the value going up as well on that. So by the end of this decade, the plan or the lookout is that we would get to almost $1 trillion of real estate in terms of the growth that we would have had in this sector. And I think from a branding perspective, that is where the aspect of branding as well as continued sustained focus on branding as well as living the brand is also become very important there. And through this panel discussion, we'll try and unravel a few of those aspects around it. And let me start, Chintan, if I start with you first around it. Real estate as a branding, there's a lot of differentiation that you do, with respect to the customer demand around it. So some of the parameters that typically would create let's say, an iconic brand, whether you will say like a design, location, execution capacity, approach towards execution, or would you say it's about the discipline that builders having, or the kind of customer experience that's creating, right? What would you say that are the distinguishing factors, for creating an iconic brand in your view?
Firstly, thank you everybody for having me on this panel today, especially Realty Plus. They've been doing a phenomenal job with real estate awards and conclaves over the years. Brand building is pretty much the biggest aspect of real estate that happens on its own. If I had to put down factors as to why and what makes an iconic brand, I think I'd like to give you a little bit of a sort of a background. Say if you see Mumbai real estate, I would say if you break it down in roughly decadal cycles, if you see 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, every 10 or 12 odd years, there is a huge churn in the top 10 odd brands that are performing or outperforming in the market. And over the last 20 years, that number has shifted dramatically to a few brands. What has happened is that over 30, 40 years, the brands that have accrued a lot of brand equity or, in terms of their customer recall or their perception in the market have been people who have delivered. And I'm not saying just I am present for 30, 40 years, my company is 50 years old, or I have delivered, say, 10 lakh square feet or 20 lakh square feet or whatever, 50 lakh square feet, but who've consistently delivered the same quality and kind of product over multiple cycles. So that consistency is supremely important. And it's like an umbrella. When I say consistency, means everything else that comes along with it, whether it is also the approach to the business, the approach to the design, how they are looking at their product execution capacity, their delivery credibility, and nowadays, most important is what happens after they deliver. Their post-sales, post-delivery performance as a, how do I put it, not as a sales organization, but more like a service organization. So these kind of brands have now created such a niche, and they are so elevated today in the market that they are commanding not just a premium for their customers, they are also commanding a brand premium when it comes to preferred partners. Landlords want to work with them, financiers want to work with them, investors want to work with them, and they are able to garner that brand premium over a 3-4 decade long story or track record. So these are things that matter, and I don't think brand building in real estate happens overnight. Obviously, marketing, advertising, creating stories around products that you launch are essential, like in every market, to get across your brand story to your customer. But to create an iconic brand, it would take a lot of effort and steps.
Sure. Parth, if I come to you, given the fact that, Chintan talked about 30, 40 years, longer, second generation, so being a first generation, what's your view on creating an iconic brand? And what are the 2-3, let's say, really key factors which will go into making that iconic brand as well?
First of all, thank you, Realty Plus, for having us over here for a very great panel of all youngsters, some being oldest friends and some being great industry colleagues. So it's a privilege to be on the dais with all of you all. Neeraj, I'll break up a brand creation part besides what Chintan said into 2-3 critical points which are very, very relevant in today's times where attention span has become so low. People want to see everything different from one another. Differentiating for us as developers and creators has become so difficult to try and outbeat our own product in terms of what new we can give, even if we want to give the best bells and whistles to try and create the eyeballs or declutter ourselves amongst the competition. As a first generation entrepreneur, what I started realizing is when we built bottom up, at that point of time, things were more relevant only in terms of how quick we can deliver and how we can just make our projects profitable and move forward so that there is a good equity war chest created for us to grow, thrive and survive. Now what I started realizing is people who are the purchasers in Mumbai don't have a forgiving attitude. You're known by your last victory. It's similar to cricket. If you've screwed up in any of your project where you've not delivered on time or within reasonable delay levels or the promised quality specs or whatever you had committed to your customers or channel partners, people don't forget easily. You may make the desired returns or may not make, that's all a separate balance sheet game. But as a perception for the brand, people start rating you कि इसका project तो delay ही होता है. ये जो बोलता है उससे 2-4 साल late ही देगा. He'll tell customers you negotiate hard, your project is going to be late, you'll get a better payment plan. So they inversely market your products. So us as an organization have to realize, all of us, if you want to be there for the next 10 years, relevant, doing scalable size in Mumbai, we have to be very, very clear in what we are committing to our customers, to our channel partners when we are promoting projects. People, no matter you give everything in the project, people are only going to tarnish your brand in a manner where the smallest thing, which is minuscule, but because of the way social media presence and the available of information to broader crowd that's available, smaller things get viral, get in terms of blown out of proportion, which is not needed. So I believe that whatever you're committing, even if you're giving 20 amenities, I think it's better to commit 10 amenities. But make that 10 terrific, which are beautiful, sustainable, and like Chintan said, once we deliver and hand over, it should speak for itself rather than the developer only making and going away. Second, I feel another important point for a brand is now become, rather than scouting new customers, how we can instill confidence and have a recall value with word of mouth amongst the existing customers. So today we spent average 5 to 6% on sales, marketing, admin, experience center, brochures, walkthroughs, all the marketing jigs. That does not take away and still give us the return that we want. We spend almost 30 to 40,000 rupees per customer coming to our site. That's the conversion cost we have for customer coming to our site for buying a project which is a large scale because of the spend across all the mediums of online and offline that percolates to the cost per customer. Now in this, it's very difficult to keep finding new customers. You'll give a deal, someone next door will give you a better deal, he'll give you a better payment plan and your customer goes. So what's important is customer who has touched and felt your product, lived in your complex, had a good experience, and even if he's not had a great experience, but your team has rectified any flaws or mistake, and they carry a goodwill for the brand that what they say they deliver, and even if something's not right, they get it right. I think that's the new way that we're going to be able to build a credible sales pipeline, and that's the brand that can get created according to me, besides the nuances of branded residences or better brochures and experience centers. Yeah.
Sure. I think, both of you kind of focusing on the consistency, delivery, as well as the client centricity. And also I think you brought on the point that, selling to the same customer or having a word of mouth from the existing customer is also a very key part in building the brand there. Harshul, if I were come to you, what would be from your perspectives, let's say 2 or 3 other, if you don't disagree, if you disagree with something, then just say that out as well. Otherwise, if a couple of points you want to add in terms of what will go forward, make a more stronger, iconic brand, what will be your take?
So I think 2 points. Certainty, because this is one word that every stakeholder of real estate sector really looks forward to. Whether it's a home buyer, whether it's the banker, whether it's the landlord. And if you go to think about the entire value chain, everyone just expects certainty. So I think if that is delivered, irrespective of the scale at which you are, irrespective of how many buildings you are doing, if that can be lived up to in the ecosystem, then that would be extremely critical. Second, and most important, what is seen is the bigger the organizations are getting, the larger the organizations are getting, the service communication at the last mile is not really resonating the intent of the promoter, and which actually is creating the gap, what we are feeling. So the training to the last mile communication really contributes to the iconic brand, because you might be doing everything right as a promoter, but if that is not getting communicated right, the patience is not there, the right message is not being sent across, I think that really disrupts the entire flow. So certainty and communication are the two most important contributors to an iconic brand.
Interesting there in that. Ram, if I were to come to you, in your view, if you just move to a different point to say, like, what does legacy mean in the Indian real estate today? And we spoke about consistency, we spoke about the fact that you have to have customer centricity there in that. I mean, do those values still hold that strongly, towards building the brand?
So definitely. First of all, thank you all. Thank you. It's a wonderful morning, and it's great to be with all these colleagues on the dais. Coming to your question, Neeraj, brand is something which goes years and years. It takes years to build. Even though Parthh, my good friend, we were in school together, literally, so I know him for his whole life. Even though he's a first generation developer, it takes years and years that he has given to today say that yes, he has built the brand, right? So it's very important to actually deliver in real estate. It's not like any other product that your product comes out in the year that you launch, right? Any other product you launch, somebody can experience that product, use it and say whether they like it or not. For us, we have to start a project, complete all approvals, cross every T, dot every I, and trust me, there are millions of them. Right from acquisition to the correct product, to approvals, to construction, through finishing, through the end buyer, through post sales. So the lifespan of even one building is anywhere between 2 to 4 years, depending on the scale, depending on the speed of the developer. So one is, as a couple of them just said, that the customer has a very short memory, right? Yet they have a very long memory. It's a contradiction in itself. The customer has a short memory because you are as good as the last building you've delivered in the neighborhood, right? However great you've done it, people will remember the last product very clearly, but they'll never forget the earlier products. So the sustenance of that product is very, very important. And the after sale experience where the customer is always happy, which sometimes is close to impossible, but you have to give it your best to make sure that that sustenance continues. For us, as a third generation developer, it's a great sense of pride when we take on societies that were actually built by my grandfather. They come back to us and say, you know what, we want to come to you because we've had a great experience, not now, and not even in the same company. Now that was Raheja brothers then. 60 years later, we've all built our own companies, and now within that, everyone's doing different projects. But it's a great sense of pride when you see the title papers with the original sign and people actually appreciating that, yes, we have a sense of trust that, as Harshul said, delivery and commitment and trust to what you're going to commit, you will deliver. And also what Parth said, that build 10 amenities, don't build 20. But what you're doing, do right. So that is what I think a brand is all about, sustenance and continuity.
Parth was waiting that, there's some school incident will come out as well, but
those will be after the after the mic.
On a different platform,
Sure.
Besides being a childhood friend, the way Ram has scaled the suburbs of Bandra to Juhu, it's terrific. Every second, third lane, he has a project, and people have all good things to say about him, and it feels immense pride when our car drives from there, when we see his board there, that we from school are doing well.
Thank you, brother. Same vice versa to Parth. A lot of friends of mine come up and say, Acha, who is Parth? Which developer was he? And as you all said, the first generation developer that's done a fabulous job.
No, wonderful, great in that part. So, Manan, coming to you, we just spoke about legacy side of it, and I would say legacy versus disruption. It's not a binary choice over there in that. So, how do you see this? What is it that we should be preserving from the old playbook, and what is it that needs to really change?
So I would break it up into 3 parts. First thing, build something what your consumer wants and not what you like, right? Second, create a product that can outstand generations. And third, you market it in a particular fashion where people would take pride that that's my building. Maybe it's an office space, it's a residential space. Now to elaborate on this, the first point which I mentioned, like build something what your consumer likes. A lot of times, we as developers, sometimes we even become too much enthusiastic. Wrong product at a wrong location. That's where projects get killed. That's where you lack good sales velocity is what I would say. In fact, that product can do very well at another location, but just because it was positioned at a wrong location, that's where you fail. Second point, you create an innovation in your product which can cater to your grandfather, to even a toddler, in terms of specs, in terms of ventilations, in terms of product usability. It's something which I have seen generational towers. For example, I'll name the Empire State of New York, right? One of the most iconic building in the world. And today it's actually created a legacy and become an icon. And the way it's marketed, every single person desires to be part of that building. So I feel when you are coming in as a new generation, you have been passed on maybe a legacy and you're inheriting it. But when you want to disrupt it, you keep the DNA that's same which has actually created that legacy. If you go to disrupt the DNA because of which you were known, because of which you were famous or your brand became an icon, that is where it disturbs the legacy and that disruption becomes a failure. So I would say you preserve the DNA. It might be your elevation, it might be a specific amenity which was been designed earlier, it might be convenience. Like for example, we've started building projects where we, as Mumbaikars, we are facing a lot of issues in traffic. So what has become luxury in today's scenario, luxury has become time. Luxury has become convenience. For me, the most luxurious part, more than a double-eyed grand Italian marble entrance lobby with a fancy chandelier from Belgium, would be I can reach home on time and I can spend time with my parents or my kids maybe. And when I want to enjoy my Sunday, rather than driving down my car to a gym khana or one of the premium clubs of Mumbai city, going over there, trying to fit into a specific attire and then trying to blend into that audience, I would feel convenience would be I'm probably wearing a pair of shorts, I've put on my slippers, I'm going down to my podium and enjoying a swim with my kids or with maybe my friends. So I feel you create everlasting products and give them the convenience to enjoy this, especially in these cities like I heard Dr. mentioning that these branded residences are coming up and I feel it's not going to work. I somehow agree to it. Branded residences will help market it better and try to encash their brand value onto your product. But trust me, if they're not providing that service or that experience, because today, for example, I don't want to name any brands. Any fashion brand is coming into real estate. I'm seeing watch brands coming into real estate. What is a watch brand or a fashion brand, frankly, going to help the consumers, especially after the consumer has taken the possession? Is he going to give you fashionable clothes? Is he giving you watches for free? Is he going to give you a lifetime 50% discount on any of these watches? No, nothing's going to happen. So eventually it's the gimmicks which are getting created to sell yourself and market better. But honestly, I feel it's the experience which flows in later on. I mean, I believe everyone would agree that tomorrow, if there's some experience, like for instance, you're getting cold towels at your entrance lobby, like a business class flight, when you enter, they give you these cold towels just to refreshen yourself. So imagine if that kind of service is there, you're going to a swimming pool and you've been provided bathrobes and towels and, like these towel slippers. So these are the kind of small things which people will remember you for, rather than just giving me a gimmicky, fashionable brand. That's what I feel will disrupt the market. So if you go more on experiences, preserve the DNA, I think that is what will disrupt and even continue your legacy.
Oh, interesting. Very good take as well. And what you just said in terms of, I think, the build what the market or the location requires, because I think we see this so many times, where, and to give a very simple example, like a hotel, you do not need a 5-star hotel, but we end up building a 5-star hotel. We get rates of a 4-star effectively on that location for years to come. So the challenges of saying that what was needed but what was built is always evident around it. And I think the points, I think we are kind of syncing together on the point that if you have that customer centricity, you are thinking about the customer, then you are building what is required to be done, and you are adding the services also in the right appropriate proportion, as well as for good quality, and something which can be sustained as well. Not that please go
So
ahead.
adding to what Manan just said, that there's no logic of a watch brand tying up, which I 100% agree with him. But when you tie up, as what he was saying, is the service part. When you get a hospitality partner, when you get someone to take that experience to the next level of real estate, that is the value addition in it.
Yeah, it could be also that that is it a because lifestyle brands do get extended at different points in time. Is it a one-off, or is it a conscious strategy for them to kind of, let's say, go and branch off into a particular area? If they're branching off into a particular area, there's a thought out strategy for it, then of course I think there could be a lot more merit in that.
Correct.
But a one-off could be something just from a design aesthetic point of view only. You will have maybe some initial push to it, but a lot of push coming in from the marketing side of it there. I think Parthh, you want to come.
On the branded residence side, what Manan added, we compare a everyday new launch happening in Dubai where a new brand is coming.
Yeah, true.
The developers or consumers in India have to first understand that geographically, demographically, a city like Dubai has people coming from over 150 countries. There's no inherent captive demand. It is expat crowd coming who are exposed across the globe to various brands. Two, there are only plethora of new developers who come in. There is no credibility. Those 10 names are consistently there. Every cycle there is a new developer. The top 3, 4, 5 remain pretty much across the cycles. So at that point in time, a branded residence is very important for them to distinguish themselves and to introduce themselves in the market.
How do they stand out otherwise?
Absolutely.
There's no differentiator for them.
Yeah.
But Indians, there are only 2 things: price, payment plan, delivery time. उसके आगे कुछ नहीं चाहिए. ये 3 चीज़ दे दो, बाकी सब हम देख लेंगे.
I would still say you collaborate with the brand, but let it give you something which you can always have with you, not just on the brochure or on the hoarding. Like maybe, for example, you tied up with a furniture brand which is like top notch of the world. Now these guys can actually even provide you at least furniture which you're living in your house, you're sleeping on that bed or sitting on that sofa. Something which should be preserved with you is what I feel the brand should come in for.
Sure. Chintan, your views, and Harshul, your views as well on.
I'm actually a fan of branded residences, to be honest. See, there are 3 types of brands, right? You, as an individual, you are a brand. Your company is a brand, carrying a legacy, carrying a proposition. Or third, you are someone with a thick balance sheet, you have the capabilities, but you don't have the requisite brand to identify with a segment you are getting into. For example, you could be doing very well in a 5 crore to 10 crore segment in Mumbai, and now you want to get into a 30 crore segment. It's not going to happen overnight because your brand is identified with that niche. So what do you do if you have a land parcel, if you have a product that you have in mind? One way is you extensively work through your ecosystem and look to position yourself, but probably at the cost of that one project, and then maybe you might be known for that. But the second way is you borrow a brand. You borrow a brand which identifies with the characteristics of what you are looking in. Clearly, there are 2 parts over here. You have a hotel as a brand and you have a non-hotel as a brand. In fact, there was research we had done at Credai, and this is very interesting. Globally, 80% of branded residences are having a hospitality partner, having a hotel as a partner. But in India, 70% of the branded residences are actually non-hotel. Maybe also because we don't build as many hotels or we don't have the land parcels to build. To my mind, there is audience for both. But having a hospitality brand is a logical extension because the life of that is beyond your possession and it ultimately is an experience. And this is not a new concept. The Imperial Towers, which were built in Tardeo, always had a Taj and probably now have a Leela, which is looking after the clubhouse and all the common area amenities. So that in a way is a branded residence. So this is here to stay because we are in a cycle of luxury. We are in a cycle of ultra luxury. We are talking of 50 crore, 100 crore homes. We are talking of ₹1,00,000 square foot, 6 micro markets. And when you look at that, probably developer as a brand might not fulfill that benchmark. Not everyone can fulfill that benchmark. And a shortcut available over here is probably having a branded residence. But more important here, and like all three of them voiced, having the right partner as a branded residence is much more important. So that evaluation criteria is important. And ultimately what happens is when you, for example, do a Taj residence, and you would be amazed, the first Taj residence actually came up in Chennai. And that developer could create velocity and could create sales and a brand premium which is unbelievable. In a city like Chennai, which otherwise real estate is not really that fast in terms of residential, or a brand premium is not that high. So my view is overall this is a segment here to stay, but has to be used very carefully. It's a specialist, you can't make it a generalist.
Chintan, your views in terms of, is it like this exercise that we just talked about, so is it like premiumization, branding through this, what Harshul just mentioned also, is it like this is a kind of a fad, is it something like a phase that we're going through, or is it something to stay? And also your views as well on the overall discussion that we've had.
So branded residences apart, premiumization as an overall idea that has probably come in the real estate industry in the last 3 to 4 years, I think is here to stay. The demand is definitely structural. Maybe the velocity for the offtake sales or the kind of demand that comes on a micro market level might be cyclical, but overall, definitely the way India is being positioned in the world, the way we are moving in the economic stature, financially, economic growth-wise, and the exposure we have in so many different aspects to many things of the West that have come to India, and we've sort of leaped a couple of generations straight, gone into the third one. We definitely, the next generation is going to be ready, are going to look for and demand from the developers the kind of premium offerings that are just started coming off in the market. I think we are just at the start of that. Like I said, the velocity at which it gets picked up will depend upon a lot of things. Primarily, how good the current set of developers who are doing premium residences deliver, how good they are able to deliver, not in just terms of time, but also in terms of the quality of the product and the promise. And also, how much supply or how much product they bring into market at any given time. Because you have to always, every time you launch a product, if I have, say, 3 developments happening in the premium segment, the first one is launched this year. If I'm launching something 2 years down the line, I have to have a 2.0, right? There has to be an improvement. So you always, you have to give yourself that kind of time also. And if you see all the great developers in India, especially the large ones, who've been doing this kind of work consistently well and have been demanding, exorbitant pricing today, is also because they have shown that they are, with every development, they are improving. They are adding that extra notch and bringing the brand premium into the play. So definitely premiumization overall, if you see the numbers of last 2 years, I mean the numbers really speak for themselves. The kind of uptake that has happened, probably the volumes have gone down, but the value, the ticket size has gone up dramatically, and that has not happened ever before. So that's a big sign with the kind of money that is there. And I think also with the generational shift that has happened in the last 2.5 decades in India, I think we are now in a time where we are more ready to spend money. I mean, this is more a social comment. Like, maybe in the 90s, if you splurged on a 50 crore house, people will really, really look down on you. Like, that's not, it's not something that is today. Today, talking 50 crore, 100 crore homes has become a normal thing. So that normalcy has come about. People are willing and ready to, spend money and then demand what they want for that money. Apart from just the second point, about branded residences, I mean, I think they've covered most of the points, and Harshul has been very categorically stating of what kind of different branding that can be done. I think there's nothing wrong with it. Branded residences is a play. If you are doing a project level partnership with someone, You got to be really sure with respect to what kind of development you are doing, what is your DNA, and what is that partner bringing on board as a complement. I mean, it's just for the sake of a marketing idea in a boardroom and you just execute is not going to work. But if you have a strategic, a very deep plan to partner with people, I think that's a phenomenal idea. You have to stay.
I was feeling that, we've finally been able to divide this between two sides, but both of them did come around to say that, like,
but
that has
there's
to be
a
appropriate.
word of
No,
caution.
It cannot be a generic comment, right?
Of course.
Obviously.
No, there's a word of caution. See, when you're doing a branded residence, you're handing over the fortune of your project to the legacy of that particular brand. And I mean, God bless someone who's doing a Trump Tower right now. So you are in a way tying in, your product to how that brand is performing or is going to perform. Because remember, product is for next couple of decades. And
as
whatever
you said,
happens
it's
there.
to the emotion of that brand, right?
Exactly. And we are very emotional about our residences. So it's a word of caution.
Interesting. No, but I think we kind of coming to a consensus on this to say that branded residences are relevant and important, and maybe the contextualization of that, is it kind of falling in with your product, the story behind it, as well as what's the long-term, benefit that the buyer is getting out of it. So those kind of some of the features can be focused on, but otherwise it does make, certain amount of sense. And I think what I must say that, Harshul brought that important point out to say that if somebody is a new start in that particular segment, so then either you have that long run or you get a quick push with one project through a particular branding rightfully done, and then you get then to that segment all throughout, there and that. So, I mean, while we can just go on in this exercise, but I think what I would like to do is that, maybe just do a quick rapid fire, 3-4 questions around it. Some very quick, smart responses is what I'm looking for, on it. So one word, Chintan, starting from you, we'll say one word that defines an iconic real estate brand. Whatever comes to your mind there.
I think integrity.
Certainty.
Okay, for you?
Innovation.
Consistency.
Product.
Wonderful. All right. So one leadership habit that every young developer CEO should build. Chintan, starting from you again.
Patience.
Transparency.
Quality check.
I'll have a sentence to answer in this because it
Marks
cannot be
are
a
cut
word.
for this, huh?
As a first generation entrepreneur, I understood one thing, that we want to build a brand like a child. And we believe what we want to commit across the organization, they should speak the same language. I run an organization of 350 people. If my lower down are not briefed and mentored in the right way, my brand is lost. Because intent at the top doesn't matter. Action and execution, what's happening at lower level
Mentioned
matters.
this in the start as well.
So if I'm able to...
This is now in a para, no?
Yeah, if I'm able to give it... But why it was important? Because we realized that why brands are spoiled, why anyone has a bad name for someone, is because the message is not percolated and expectations are not set. That's the leadership skill that we should have.
Basically, all stakeholder buy-in, basically.
I would say transparency and communication.
All right, that's 2. Yeah, I'll give it to you. Okay,
Because
so
it's difficult to hold on one.
no, of course, that part there. One thing, coming to you only, Ram, in the part, one thing you would stop doing in the industry to improve the trust rapidly.
So, stop making cookie cutter products. As architect ने बोला ये अच्छा है, यहाँ पे मुझे 3 BHK बनाना है तो मैं बना रहा हूँ. No. Understand, see, we are selling the most luxurious and highest ticket anyone pays for, right? What is the most expensive thing any human buys? It is usually their home. So you have to do deep R&D and understand which product is needed where. So if you are coming up with a product somewhere, you have to make sure that it is the right product for the right location. So don't just build it because everyone's doing it. So no herd mentality.
Now Ram's being infectious there in that, So for one word we went to again a para there in that. I'll come to you there in that, yeah.
Not hire someone who doesn't have the fire and the belly to deliver the quality that the leader has envisioned for the organization. Don't hire for the sake of hiring. Lesser the better. But you have the person, please ensure he has the company DNA or the culture, which is not just 9 to 5, but it's beyond that. He should get the pain and the itching in his heart that no, something's not right. If you don't have that employee, don't hire. You'll be better off doing one project less.
Okay. There, Manan, come
Honestly,
to you.
when I don't have one single word for this, but if I had it under my control, I would honestly, it's absolutely under the government, but I would honestly do one biggest thing which the real estate industry requires is stop granting more FSI.
Okay.
There's unlimited FSI being granted,
Maybe it gets
and the greed is going up,
Dude,
maybe
no
it
one's
doesn't
asking you
get
to
printed,
consume the
you know?
FSI.
Huh? Maybe it doesn't get printed.
and you're unable to actually you're not even able to consume the FSI. You don't have open space or you don't have the height. So even if they are granting more FSI, in the greed of it, developers are going on, and the delays are happening. So I would say stop granting more FSI.
I think this has been a topic of discussion as well, because the infra is not supporting, that kind of a development which the government's kind of, let's say, allowing to happen as well there. But coming to you, Harshul and Chintan, you as
I think
well,
I would
what is
stop-
that one thing that you'll stop?
I would stop saying yes to everyone and everything. I think we as a developer, we always say yes. I think there's high time we start saying a no also.
Especially in redevelopment.
The concept of cricket, well left, that I think needs to be done by this industry.
I think one thing that I have learned, if I look at all the experiences of all the developers the past 2-3 decades, and I will not want to do is, basically, I've understood that real estate is not a FOMO business. There is no fear of missing out. What you felt was an opportunity that came to you and you missed out. Better ones arrive always. Okay? And second thing is that it's not a volume share market. If one customer doesn't come to you, goes to somebody else, it does not mean that there's not another customer. But the demand-supply mismatch is phenomenal. So don't have to worry about that. So 2 things for me.
All right, sure. And Chintan, coming to you only, that, so one regulatory change that you think could be a game changer, for the industry, if any one change that you think that comes to your mind.
That has happened or
No,
proposed?
I mean, proposed.
Proposed change.
Proposed that board would like to propose.
I think the way, especially I can talk only of Mumbai because primarily we are all Mumbai real estate developers. I think the way the FASI is looked in Mumbai is very, 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 very not logical and skewed. If you see any other part of the world, the way FAR is treated is very different and very simple, makes planning much easier to do good, iconic work.
Okay.
So that's something that I would love to change.
Sure. Harshul?
It's never going to happen, but since you've asked for a wish list, I want AI.
Free land.
I want I want AI in approvals. Basically, this DCPR, which is supposed to be a development control regulation, is actually a discretionary control regulation. There's so much discretion, they themselves don't know what is going to get approved. So I think AI in approval, it's never going to happen.
Let's hope for that. Manan, to you.
For me, I would feel Mumbai city eventually, we have great developers, potential is great architects all over the world are in fact coming to India to work. What I just feel is there is no elevation policy. Every single building in this city is looking like a matchbox. The maximum what the developer plays is curved chhajjas, put a wooden ceiling and put a spotlight on it. Every building looks the same. Whether it's a 50 crore house or it's a 5 crore house, not to discriminate amongst the buyers, but there needs to be some iconic structures. I mean, look at your phone screens, wallpapers, guys. Have you ever put a Mumbai city wallpaper? Never. You will never put it because there is no policy as such which exists as to create great things. Everything, you take 1.2 meters se zyada ka chhajja, chalo, in FSI, okay. Flower beds, not allowed. I understand people have exploited these rules in the past, but come out with some good elevation policy, get special approvals for some special developers who are willing to spend that money for their consumer or like for the betterment of the city. I think this is what can make this city look more beautiful.
They actually came out with an iconic building policy, but it was so iconic, no one really qualified for it.
Very quick one from you, very quick one from
What
you
is
as
a
well.
KRA? Developer and a creator. That means 95% of a job should go in conceiving a good product, building a good product and delivering a good product. Unfortunately, in Bombay, 95% of our time is going in firefighting, running from one approval department to another. And last 5% we put our mind on the plan, Arey ye kar lo, fatafat bana dalo. Because why? Interest meter is ticking, RERA deadline is ticking. And money is on the line and we have to deliver fast. The only thing that I would change is today, internationally, there's one building permit for a reason. You can have everything there, so your pre-working in the first 6 months can be done. And once you start, let an entrepreneur flourish,
Finish that.
not demonize or break his entrepreneurial spirit that he has to think 10 times before building a new building. That's about it.
Sure.
So
they've
sorry,
covered
just
all
one
the-
second. You forgot your spouse, MOEF, who's always there.
Everything.
And you never can, in any form, be able to get it on time.
While today, just my team just called me that one of our buildings at Paliyal is going through a demolition, and we have a launch in the next 6 days. They said now there is a new debris law come that we cannot throw the thing outside. So my building after demolition doesn't feel it's demolished. Building is still there in its ruins. So this was not anticipated. So thank you. My launch is again delayed by 15 days till new policy comes.
So they've covered all the points that I will summarize into one.
Yes.
Approvals,
Approvals.
elevation and architecture, let us design and create, and no retrospective stuff. Three things is something that needs desperate attention. I don't know when and how. Mr. Secretary,
Wonderful.
if you can do something.
You know that. No,
One
with
thing
that,
which I'll add to this thing, the last point is very, very important. Lot of times actually consumers might not be aware of. We get stuck midway even after getting approval.
Retrospective.
People feel IOD has come, CC has come, but no, that's not it. Lot of times in middle of the construction, you see a change of major policy coming in and they stall the construction.
This happened to us. We got the IOD, loaded the entire FSI, vacated the society. There was that era when the 6-meter rule came in. Ground zero building is demolished, work is about to start, TDR is fully loaded. What happens? Sorry, you don't have CC, so rule change, go back to drawing board. It's happened. So it's time we understand that this is a development for the city and not just because someone has done something, you demonize the whole industry.
so
But
I
to
think
add,
that's a
just
good-
to add well, this was a little bit of a crib session, but to add on a positive note, things have really improved. I think we are in a time
100%,
of extreme
100%.
certainty. I mean, from what it used to be, say, 10, 15, 20 years back.
100%.
I mean, I remember the time between 2008 to 12, you would bid for a project expecting 1,000 square feet, and from the same project, my architect would take out 2,000 square feet. And it was so uncertain. We live in much better times, and things are more streamlined, and hopefully they will get more regulated.
So now the next session, fire should be what is doing good. Because you asked what's doing bad. You have to ask what's happening good as well.
No, of course, a lot of things good. And I think, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Really appreciate the candor as well as the views and expressions that you had. Also, I think very few times we get such kind of conversation going. So thank you so much for it. Really appreciate. And you as the audience as well, thank you so much for patiently listening to us. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Aaron.
Thank
Thank you so
everyone.
much.
Thank you
Big
so
round of applause for all of them. Please, I'll request all of you to please kindly remain on stage and kindly wait. I would like to call upon stage Mr. Manish Puri, who's the honorable partner at Integro Asset Management Company, to please kindly come up on stage and give the token of appreciation to our stellar speakers over here. A big round of applause for Mr. Puri as well, please, ladies and gentlemen. Sir, I'll request you to wait. We need to do a group photograph of all of you. 2 minutes will be possible. Thank you so much. Can we do a nice group photo with all of you over here at the front? ये टेबल हमें नहीं चाहिए फोटोग्राफ में, तो आप लोग आगे आ जाइए प्लीज. Ladies and gentlemen, can I request all of you to clap a little louder, please? आप लोग ताली बजाओगे, वो लोग smile करेंगे, the photos will turn out to be a lot better. That's exactly what we want, right? Thank you. That's the spirit. Very, very empowering session, the first one. Thank you so much.